Hello everyone, welcome to Neha Tucker Science Tutorials. Today our topic of discussion is nutrition in plants. So we have following learning objectives, modes of nutrition, and under it we will study autotrophic nutrition in plants. Under autotrophic nutrition we will discuss what photosynthesis is. We will also discuss about the heterotrophic nutrition in plants, under which we will study about parasitic, insectivorous, saprophytic, and symbiotic relationship. So moving on, we will first study that what is nutrition and what nutrients means. So to keep ourselves alive, all living things perform basic functions called as life processes, right? We all perform basic functions which are called as life processes. And to perform these life processes, we require food or energy because food gives us energy. So what is nutrition? We can say it's a process by which organisms take in food and utilize it in order to survive. So the process of taking in nutrients from food and to utilize these nutrients in order to survive is called nutrition. So we have read that carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, these are the 5 essential components of food which are required by our body. They play an important part because these nutrients help us to obtain energy, help us to obtain materials for the repair of the damaged cells of our body. They are required for the growth and maintenance of our body and to carry out the life processes. So this we have also discussed in the previous classes, that nutrients and their role. Now we will move to modes of nutrition. So basically there are two modes of nutrition. One is heterotrophic and another one is autotrophic nutrition. All living things shows these two modes of nutrition, either autotrophic or heterotrophic. Coming to autotrophic nutrition, autotrophic consists of two words, auto and troph. Auto here refers to self and troph refers to nourishment. So when an organism is capable of self-nourishment, it is called as autotrophic nutrition. So all living organisms which are able or capable to prepare their own food, they are called as autotrophs, right? So it means जब organism अपना खाना खुद बनाते हैं, they are self-dependent and they are not dependent on any other. They are autotrophs and they are also called as producers. Whereas heterotrophic nutrition, here the hetero means others and troph means again it means nourishment. So we can say when an organism is dependent on others. So it is called heterotrophic nutrition and the organism is called as heterotrophs. Here the organism is not capable of preparing its own food. So it taken ready-made food either from plants or from animals. Like we humans, we all are heterotrophs because we cannot make our own food. We depend either on the plant source or the animals for survival, for taking in our nutrients. So let's understand what autotrophic nutrition is, what heterotrophic nutrition is in detail. So coming with the autotrophic nutrition, okay, so we all know that green plants are capable of making their own food, so they are called as autotrophs. Because green plants have chlorophyll in their leaves. Chlorophyll is present in the chloroplast. Chloroplast is an organelle which is present in the plant cells. And in animal cells, chloroplast is or plastids भी कहते हैं इनको, they are absent. So plants have the chlorophyll and it gives green color to the plant and also helps to trap the sunlight. And with the help of it, the plant prepare their own food. So such nutrition wherein the plants make their own food with the help of chlorophyll, which is present in the chloroplast or the plastids of the plant cells, are called as autotrophic nutrition. So green plants are autotrophs and they prepare their food by a process called as photosynthesis. So we will discuss first what photosynthesis is. So photosynthesis is just the process of making food by the green plants, because green plants have chlorophyll and they can trap the sunlight, and with the help of carbon dioxide which they taken from the air through stomata, which is again the small tiny pores which are present underneath the leaves, and water, The plants take in water from the roots by soil through osmosis. So water is taken by the soil by roots and transported to leaves by vessels. Like humans have blood vessels to carry on the blood from one part to another, similarly the plants have the vessels which are called as xylem and phloem. So xylem take in water from the roots to other parts of the plant, and phloem take in the products of photosynthesis from the leaves to the other parts of the plant. So the plant take in carbon dioxide from air, water from the roots, and in the presence of sunlight, it prepare food to form the glucose or sugar, and which is later converted into starch. And it is stored in the various parts of the plant. Next is during photosynthesis, the plant taking carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is being taken from the air, and what does plant produce? They produce food and oxygen. So carbon dioxide is taken in and oxygen is being given out. Next is there is a conversion of light energy, energy which the plant taken from the sun. So the light energy is being converted into chemical energy, and water is being split into hydrogen and oxygen by the light energy. So this is complete process of photosynthesis. Okay, we will discuss more about photosynthesis with the help of this picture. Okay, I can show you. So with the help of pointer, I'm showing that this is the sun. The light energy is being trapped by the chlorophyll. The water is being absorbed from the roots. Carbon dioxide from the air enters through the stomata of the leaves. So what are the products? The water, carbon dioxide from air, and light from the sun. All these in combine together to make sugar and oxygen. These are the products of photosynthesis. Sugar is being converted into starch, which is stored as food in other parts of the plant. These food can be stored in any part of the plant, be it the leaf, stem, roots, fruits, anywhere. And the oxygen is being given off into the air. And the starch which is stored in the plant, so all the green plants which manufacture their food or synthesize their food, you can also perform iodine test, because we know iodine when comes in contact with the starch turns blue black. So when we put some iodine drops on the leaf, if the leaf is turning blue black, that means the presence of starch in leaves. So we can also conduct this experiment. Now this is the equation of photosynthesis. As I have told you, in photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide from the air and the water from the roots, they both combine in the presence of sunlight. This is very important, that sunlight should be present. So no photosynthesis process is carried out during the night time. So carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight combines to form glucose and oxygen. Now, till now, we have discussed that what is autotrophic nutrition. We have discussed what is photosynthesis. Now, one more important, the role of leaves in photosynthesis. So here is the role of leaves in photosynthesis. See, synthesis of food takes place in leaves only. We can say there are four things: carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, which is required for the, and chlorophyll also, which is required for the photosynthesis process. So they all must reach the leaves. So first is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is a green pigment which helps to trap the sunlight. So it is also present in the leaves of the plant. So first function, that chlorophyll helps leaves to capture sun's energy, which is used to prepare food from carbon dioxide and water. Second important role of leaf is presence of stomata. Okay, the stomata are the small or the tiny pores which are found beneath or on the surface of the leaves. Through the stomata, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere enters the leaves, as stomata helps in the gaseous exchange. So through stomata, carbon dioxide from air enters the leaves, and oxygen is the byproduct of photosynthesis. And water also go out of the leaves through process called transpiration through these stomata. So the role of leaf is very much important in the photosynthesis process. But now two question arises, that what happens in plants with reduced leaves or modified leaves, like in case of cactus? Or I can say, how do plants, desert plants like cactus, prepare their food? Okay, the desert plants like cactus, their leaves are reduced to spines. Why their leaves are reduced to spines? Because they want the loss, to prevent the loss of water by transpiration. I have told you that transpiration क्या होता है, in which water is being evaporated from the leaves, or it turns into vapor form through the surface of the leaves. Because in desert like condition there is very less moisture, there is very less water available, so the plants do not want to lose the water, they want to preserve the water, they do not want to reduce, no, sorry, they do not want to lose water by transpiration, so their leaves are reduced to spines. So how do then cactus prepare its food? When it doesn't bear leaves, or leaves are being modified to spines, then stem in these plants becomes green to carry out photosynthesis. Okay, so where does cactus make its food? With the help of the green stem. Now second question is, how do plants with non-green leaves carry out the photosynthesis process? You might have seen various kind of plants with different colored leaves, like yellow, brown, red, and other beautiful leaves, but not green. So how do photosynthesis takes part in these plants? Because if there is no green color, that means the absence of chlorophyll. And if there is no chlorophyll, then how do photosynthesis takes place? So the answer is, in all such leaves, green color is also present. Yes, green color is also present in addition to red, yellow, brown, purple, or other colors. However, the amount of these colors or other pigments is very high in comparison to the green color. Are you getting? These color pigments are high in comparison to the green color. Therefore, the green color is only being masked by these pigments. That means green color is very much present there, but it is being masked by the other color pigments, say red, yellow, brown, or whatever. Uh, I I try to explain you this with the help of an example. Like if you have ever seen the leaves of proton on money plant, कैसी होती है मनी प्लांट की लीफ? It is the combination of green and white parts. There is white and green parts in the same leaf, and these leaves are called as variegated leaves. Yes. So because you have to remember, because they have both white and green portion in the same leaf, so photosynthesis doesn't occur in the white portion, be it proton or money plant. Okay, remember that photosynthesis will not take place in the white portions. Only green portion will take part in photosynthesis, because chlorophyll is only present in the green part. Okay, right? Next. Okay, now we have, till now we have discussed the autotrophic nutrition. Now we will move to heterotrophic nutrition. Okay, heterotrophic nutrition means heterotrophic, as I have told you, means to obtain the food from others. So organisms which obtain food from other organisms and are not capable of making their own food, or we can say then consumers, are called as heterotrophs, right? I've given an example of humans, because please do not get confused that if we are preparing, we are cooking food in our kitchen, so we should be autotrophs. Do not get confused in that, because if even we are making any food item, we are cooking in kitchen, even though the ingredients we are which are required to make that particular food is obtained from the plant, either from plant or from animal source, right? So indirectly we are very much dependent on plants and animals for our food. So we are heterotrophs. Again, similar is in the case of some animals, uh, animals which depend on plant or animal source, and all the non-green plants also are heterotrophs. So all animals, humans, non-green plants like fungi come under this category. Okay, I have told you this, that organism that follow the heterotrophic mode of nutrition are called as heterotrophs. Moving on with the mode of heterotrophic nutrition. So there are 4 modes of heterotrophic nutrition. One is parasitic, then saprophytic, insectivorous, and symbiotic. So there are 4 modes of heterotrophic nutrition, and we will discuss all these modes one by one, starting from parasitic. So here para means another. Okay, so parasitic is a heterotroph that completely depends on other organism for its food. So parasitic plants कौन से होते हैं? Which derive their nutrition from others. And इसमें there are 2 terms. And parasitic plants में आपको 2 चीजें याद रखनी है. One is parasites, the plants which live in other plant for their nutrition, which derive their nutrition from others, are called as parasites. And the plant on which these parasites survive are called host. ठीक है? Parasite plants कौन से हुए? Which derive their nutrition from others, and such other organisms from which parasitic plants are obtaining their nutrition are called as host plants. So what they do, like I'm giving you example of dodder or cuscuta, which is also called as amable. It is a plant that is parasitic in nature. So what does it do? It clings itself to the host plant and derive its nutrition from them. In this case, the host plant doesn't get any benefit from the parasite. Obviously, parasitic plant is obtaining its nutrients from the host plant, but host plant in return is not benefited at all. And some examples include the amable, hookworm, stayworm, leeches, and many more. Here you can see this is dodder. So what it is clinging on the host plant, you can see from here, this is cuscuta. And they are clinging to other plants called as a host plant and deriving their nutrition from them. In such a case, the host plant become deprived of nutrients, and so it is very harmful. And we can generally see these type of plants and barren lands, or where they are not properly being taken care of. So these cuscuta or the parasitic plants grow in abundance, and they deprive the host plant from the nutrients. So there are some examples of the parasitic plants. Dodder, as I have explained you, because they do not have chlorophyll, so they just suck or derive their food from the host plant through adventitious roots. If you have seen my previous video, a plant kingdom, in that I have discussed that adventitious roots are the roots which do not arise from the node of, which do not arise from the radicle of the plant, and they arise from the node or internode of the stem. Adventitious roots जैसे prop root आपका example होता है, which is also an example of adventitious root. So in similar case, cuscuta में भी क्या होता है, adventitious roots के through ये host plant से nutrients derive करते हैं, and this is called as hostelria. So cuscuta is a complete parasitic plant. Another one is mistletoe. In mistletoe, there are green leaves. Okay, so because they have green leaves, so they can carry out the process of photosynthesis. That means they are not completely dependent on the host plant for their nutrients. So they are partial parasitic plants. Got it? What they do, but they grow on the branches of the plant and mainly absorbs water and minerals from the host plant. So this is the partial parasitic. Another is Rafflesia. You might have heard Rafflesia is the largest flower. So it is a parasite of the Tetrastegma plant, and it is completely dependent on its host plant for its food. It is also a parasitic plant, completely parasitic plant, right? Now, second mode of heterotrophic nutrition is insectivorous plants. Okay, I find this very interesting because these kind of plants derive their nutrition from the small insects or animals. Yes. So they are carnivores in nature actually, because they are purely dependent on small insects for their nutrition. What happened, because you can see from the picture that their leaves are modified as pitcher. Here is an example of pitcher plant. So why they are called as pitcher plant? Because the leaves are modified as a as picture shaped structure. Here is the mouth, it is called the mouth, and here is lid, which gets closed when an insect traps inside this picture. Another example is Venus flytrap. Venus flytrap is again an insectivorous plant. So explaining you the insectivorous plant with the help of picture plant, what happened, this is very slippery. Here the mouth is very slippery, so whenever an insect comes near it, it slips into this picture and the lid get closed, and the insectivorous plant, they just derive all the nutrients from the insect. They are, because these leaves are green in color, you can see these leaves are green, so that means they can carry out the process of photosynthesis. Then why they are trapping the insects? Because they grow in the soil which do not contain sufficient nitrogen. Okay, so they are deprived of nitrogen and phosphorus basically. So in order to get the nitrogen, they feed on insects. So this is very important point, that insectivorous plants can take part in the photosynthesis process, but because they are deprived of nitrogen mineral, so in order to get it, they feed on insects. Next is that picture plant traps small insects, which I have described, just explained you how. And they, when the insects get trapped, the picture plant, they take out the digestive juices and take out the nutrient from the insect or animal. Small, very small insects is taken, or very small animals. So here's the magnified view. So next we are going to discuss saprophytic nutrition. In saprophytic nutrition, there is no photosynthesis process will take place because they are of complete non-green color. So no chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is absolutely absent in saprophytes. So it is a mode of nutrition in which organism or plant obtain their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. So if you have ever seen mushroom जो आपके घर में as a vegetable cook होते हैं, या फिर you can see in the supermarket if you ever visited, they are the cap-like structure, umbrella-like structure, and they are the saprophyte actually, because they, and you can see many of the mushrooms growing in the rainy seasons in many forests, because they grow on the decaying wooden, usually on decaying woody materials, and they obtain their nutrient from them. Actually, the organism, they are dead or decaying, but they are have still possess some nutrient until they are decomposed. So these plants obtain their nutrition from that decaying organic matter. They are called as saprophytes. And what happens, the saprophytes, when they grow on the decaying organic matter, they secrete some digestive juices onto dead and decaying matter, dissolve it, and then absorbs the nutrients from it. Examples include molds, mushrooms, yeast, and there are certain bacteria. Here is an example of fungi. So fungus आपने देखी होगी, जो आपके बेकार चीजों पे, जो खराब चीजें हो जाती हैं उन पे ग्रो कर जाती है. So they are the saprophytes actually, which grow. You can find them on stale food. Like this is in the picture, you can say this is stale bread, and fungus you can see here is growing. So actually it's a saprophytic. They are the saprophytes, which is obtaining nutrients from the decayed or the stale bread. A last mode of nutrition in heterotrophic nutrition is symbiotic nutrition. Symbiotic nutrition is one in which both the organism, they coexist and both are mutually benefited by the presence. That means the both organisms live together, they share shelter and food with each other for their survival. That means both the parties are in win-win situation because both are mutually benefited. Both are getting something from the another, right? Okay, one very common example is that if you have ever seen that there are buffaloes and the small birds, if you can see on the buffaloes. Okay, what happened, usually in water buffaloes, there are small birds which are on their back, So what this is symbiotic relation because they are ticks in the buffaloes and they are actually the parasites which are sucking blood from the buffalo. So what happened? These small birds they feed on these ticks and both are benefited because birds get the supply of ticks. And how buffalo is benefited? Because it gets rid of the ticks. So this is a simple symbiotic relationship between the two. Here are other examples which there are some fungi which live in the roots of the trees. One is the rhizobium bacteria is another example which live in the roots of the trees. So here, starting with the first example, there are some fungi which live in the roots of the trees, and these fungi take food from the trees and in return help the trees in absorbing water and nutrients from the soil. So you can see both plant and the fungus is benefited. Here in the diagram you can see there is an association between a fungus and algae. Both are mutually benefited. Actually, these association between the fungus and algae is called as lichen. The together are called as lichens. The algae provide food and shelter to the fungus, while fungus provide water, mineral, and shelter to the algae. Okay, so both coexist and share shelter or food with each other. Another some examples of symbiotic is rhizobium bacteria. Rhizobium is a nitrogen fixation bacteria which exists in the roots of the plant. It helps to fix the atmospheric free nitrogen into the nitrogen form that is absorbed by the plants. So what happened? The plant will get the nitrogen, which is very much essential for the growth of plants, and the rhizobium get the shelter. So in that way, because rhizobium जो होता है bacteria वो roots में होता है plants के, तो it get the shelter in the food, and whereas the plant get the nitrogen. So both are mutually benefited. And one example I have told you about that buffalo one, those small birds are called as oxpecker, right? So in this diagram, you can see the rhizobium bacteria, which is arising in the nodule of a plant, and they have to convert the atmosphere nitrogen, which is present in atmosphere in the free form, in the form of nitrogen that is absorbed by the plants. So we have four types of modes of nutrition we have discussed. One is parasitic, in which the host plant is, in the losing side because it is not benefited, where the parasite is taking in nutrients from the host plant and is only benefited. Another is insectivorous, where they, to fulfill their needs of nitrogen, are taking in insects. Actually, they are carnivores. Third one is saprophytic, in which the organism grow on the dead and decaying animals and absorb their nutrients from them. And last one is symbiotic, in which both organisms coexist together and both are mutually benefited. So let's discuss the difference between the parasitic and symbiotic plants. So parasitic relationship में क्या होता है? One is host and another one is parasite. ठीक है? And who gets benefited? Parasites only. And host is usually harmed. बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल आप एनिमल्स में, क्योंकि अभी हमने जो सिखाया आपको प्लांट्स में बताया दैट व्हाट इज पैरासिटिक रिलेशनशिप इन प्लांट्स. अगर आप उसको एनिमल से रिलेट करेंगे तो इफ यू हैव सीन द lices in your head simply, so what they are also parasites because they are sucking blood from us, our body. So we are host, we are having no benefit of the parasites, we are the host is harmed only. So simply such as in humans, so similar in plants, the parasites like dodder, they are only being benefited because they are getting nutrients and host is only harmed. So parasites, in order to obtain parasitic plants, in order to obtain the nutrients, they have the roots called as haustoria to suck the nutrients. and some parasites may make their host completely devoid of nutrients, right? So parasitic relationship in which only parasites are benefited. Now in symbiotic, the organisms involved are called symbionts. They mutually are benefited, and in order to obtain the nutrient, no special structures like in parasitic we have learned they have hostoria. Symbiotic में there is no such special structures are required, and among symbiotics, one of the organism provide nutrients while other provides protection or other benefit like food, or it can be any. Okay? So I hope this chapter is very much clear to you now. You can visit to any nearby nursery after this COVID situation is over. You can visit any nursery near to you, and you can see various kind of plants. You can see the cactus, how the cactus leaves are reduced to spine and they have green stems. You can also see the money plant and see the variegated leaves, and you can see various kind of relationships also. So this for more practical exposure you can see. Thank you very much. Keep watching my videos and please do subscribe my channel. Thank you.